3 to 5 hours a day. This is how much my virtual assistant that sits on top of Claude AI is saving me each and every day. I kid you not. And today I'm going to show you what it is, what a virtual assistant is, and how to set it up. Hey, my name is Chris Raulf. I'm the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing and also over at Chris Raulf AI SEO. In today's Friday SEO tip, I'm going to show you exactly how to create a virtual assistant, basically a virtual copy of you that will allow you to save an insane amount of time each and every day. All right. Let me get started by saying that I was listening to a podcast with Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI and popular chatbot ChatGPT. Sam Altman was talking about a universal assistant, basically a super competent colleague that possesses all the knowledge that you have, that will be able to do things on your behalf, that will be able to help you with writing emails, proposals, copy for your website, etc., etc. We were already in the process of setting up a virtual Chris. I already started that process, but listening to that podcast by Sam Altman was basically a reaffirmation that, hey, I'm already doing something that even great minds like Sam Altman are envisioning everybody needs to have. So right there is a little bit of information about what Sam Altman described. And then also here's a write-up of Sam Altman's vision. As always, I'm going to add all the links of the information that I'm sharing here in this video right below in the description field of this YouTube video. So let's get started. So if you've been listening to some of our tips before and you maybe have tuned us out, this is the one that you want to consume from A to C. So hopefully I have your attention and you're interested in saving as much time as I do on a daily basis. All right. Let me start by sharing a quick story here. I met a friend of mine. She's a executive for a high-tech company in Silicon Valley. She was in Denver for a day for a meeting with customers. We met at a coffee shop, and before we got to have a little bit of fun and explore Denver, we had to catch up on work. And I saw her head down on her computer, looked like she was writing a proposal. I'm not going to name her by her real name. Let's call her Susan. I said, "Hey, Susan, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I got to write this proposal. I need to get it out. It's going to take me X amount of time." And I asked her, "Hey, do you have a virtual assistant set up on top of one of these large language models?" She did not. I then showed her, I proceeded to show her virtual Chris, and she was basically flabbergasted. She was fascinated by how easy it is to set something like that up and how much time it could potentially help her save every day. So that being said, I wrote a blog post on the Chris Raulf website where I walk through the exact steps, step by step. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up your virtual you so that you too can save a great amount of time each and every day. So I'm going to put the link to this blog post also right below in the description field of this YouTube video. The title of this blog post is How to Build a Virtual You in Claude. Claude, that's my favorite large language model, the one that we're using most here at Boulder SEO Marketing and over at Chris Raulf AI SEO. I highly recommend that you use Claude if you follow the instructions here. This is basically a complete setup guide on how to set up a virtual you in Claude. All right, let's get into it. And I highly recommend you read the entire blog post from beginning to end, since I don't have time to go through everything here that I wrote. It's a fairly longer blog post. But basically, what is a virtual you? All right. So again, highly recommend you read this section here. But let me show you, let me head over to my Claude. You're looking at the ultimate virtual Chris. So essentially, it is a project in Claude. If you're not familiar what a project is, do a little bit of research, but essentially it's over here in the menu on the left side. So we'll come back here in a second on how to set that up. So this addresses what a virtual you actually is. So make sure you read this segment here. And then what can it actually do for you? Before we go through each and every step on how to set this up and maintain it, I use my virtual Chris to help me write with emails, sales follow-ups, meeting processing, content in every possible format, proposals, etc., etc. It's also a thinking partner because it feeds on knowledge that I have added to the brain of Virtual Chris. I'm going to show you how to build that brain. These are just a few ideas on what you can use your virtual you for. Obviously, it also depends on your position. But this is what it's allowing me to do. Anything that has to do with content, thinking, brainstorming, etc. This is what you're going to use your virtual you for. Let's take a look at 4 components that are critically important to set up your virtual you in Claude. All right. So step 1, gather your source content. Content data is the new gold, the new oil, right? We create content on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, as I am doing now. I'm sharing net new content. This information is being recorded. I will have access to a transcript of this recording right after I'm stopping the record button here. Guess what? It's going to go into Virtual Chris's brain. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, because then if I talk again about, how to set up a virtual you, Virtual Chris will be able to retrieve that information of the information that I'm discussing here in this recording. So let's talk about how to set up your Claude project. Let me actually show you. So this is the Claude interface. You would simply head over here to projects, click on projects. You would name it virtual, whatever your name is, and then create new project. All right. This will then create an interface like this. That's basically the first step that you have to do. Then this is critically important. Step 3, write the project instructions. As part of this blog post, I'm sharing example instructions that you can simply copy, edit, update. It's very intuitive. Make sure, obviously, to read every word here. But I'm going to show you the instructions that I added to the ultimate virtual Chris. All right. Projects instructions, simply click on this edit instructions here. This is where you're going to tell your virtual you all the things that are important, right? This is how you need to behave. This is what you're going to help me with. Self-reflect on certain things. Do this, don't do that. Never write things a certain way. Always write things a certain way. What I never do, critical information about yourself, responding as yourself. This is how I respond when I write emails, etc., etc. So these instructions are critically important. Again, I created sample instructions that you can simply copy and edit and add to the backend of your virtual you. All right. Then, critically important here, last paragraph is not optional. No hallucination. All right. No open internet safeguard is what keeps your virtual you honest and on brand instead of drifting into made up filler. Just remember, you are working with an AI. AI is still stupid. It will come up with stuff. So make sure to always read everything that this virtual you is creating. Let me quickly come back here again. Over time, as you are working with your virtual you, your virtual assistant will create a memory based on how you interact with this tool. And you can actually also tell it when you're in a chat there. It's like, hey, add this to your memory if it's something that's super important. So this is incredible. It builds a memory based on information that you are adding here, creating, etc. All right, so let's come back here. Step 4, your foundation documents live in instructions. Okay, what is critically important when you build your instructions? Again, the instructions are over here. What you need to include is information about your business, obviously, if that's important, who you are. The more information you provide in the instructions about who you are, what you do, about the business entity, who you serve, how you sound, this is all critical information that will help virtual you create better content so that it can actually save you a good amount of time. Then let's talk about the roll-up documents. And by the way, I came up with that term, roll-up document. I'm going to show you what it is here. So these are Google Docs that reside on my Google Drive. Obviously, I'm the head of this business here, so I am involved in a lot of conversations all day long. I probably spend 4 to 6 hours in calls with various departments where I talk to various people about various things that are relevant in many ways. Let's take a look at our AI task force intelligence roll-up document. We have 4 full-time employees that are part of the AI department. We're working on building our micro SEO.ai platform right now. So I'm not in every conversation, but I get all the transcripts when the team is talking about new features, what we need to develop, where we're at, etc. So let me show you what a roll-up document looks like. And by the way, at the end of this recording, I'm going to give you access to templates so that you don't have to reinvent the wheels here. And I'm not going to go through everything, but basically this is a structured data document where I'm going to make it as easy as possible for my virtual me to take a look at the information. I'm telling it, hey, this is what it is related to the AI task force intelligence information that I'm adding here on a regular basis. This is how you use this document. This is how you map information. So it may look a little bit technical. It actually is not. Okay. Then section 1, latest insights. This is where I'm going to add entries after I receive the transcript of a conversation. And I'm going to walk through the process on how to create an entry. And then basically this is information that is invaluable for virtual Chris to have access to so that it can create content on my behalf as if I had created the content. All right. So this is an example of a roll-up document. If you are the CEO of a company, I recommend you create multiple roll-up documents. You don't want to have one roll-up document that includes, information from different departments, different people. Make it as easy as possible for your AI to quickly access relevant data and information via these structured roll-up documents. Make sure, obviously, please to read this blog post here. Put a lot of time and effort into creating this piece of content. I'll talk about the skill next. If you don't know what a skill is in Claude, look it up. Very, very important. If you do something more than twice, you got to create a skill in Claude so that you don't have to manually repeat yourself and give instructions over and over, that you could easily invoke by invoking a skill. So let me quickly show you what a skill is. Under Customize, you'll find skills in this section. So simply click on skills here. And then by simply clicking the plus button, you can add a new skill. And I'll show you exactly how to invoke a skill. As you can see here, I already have created a bunch of skills that allow me to not have to repeat myself when I do something that I do multiple times on a daily basis. What I'm going to show you is the roll-up processor. So this is a skill that I evoke when I process a transcript of a conversation that I had with my team. I'm going to show you how to use this skill in real time. So over here, I have a little tab where I add transcripts when we have a Google Meet. I get an email with the transcript. In this example, I had a marketing meeting with my business partner, Daniel Burns, our head of marketing, John, and then Maya Ralph, who also works here supporting our marketing efforts. So here's what I do. I simply copy all of the information because it's relevant information of things that we discussed. Hey, what are we going to do in marketing, new efforts, fine-tuning things, etc. So I'm going to grab the content and I'm going to head over to Ultimate Virtual Chris. I'm going to paste the information in here. And now check this out. I'm simply going to do a forward slash. This is now going to bring up all of the skills that I have already created. So in this case, I have created a skill that's going to process a raw transcript. So I'm going to click on this. You don't have to give any additional instructions. Obviously, if you would like to add more instructions, you can tell it, hey, do this or that. You can neglect this, etc. But this will usually do the trick. So simply evoke the skill and then hit enter. So now Claude is processing the transcript according to the instructions in the skill that I created. And I always recommend, make sure you keep an eye on the thought process here that Claude is running through. Let's give it a second. All right. Claude has strong context. Excellent. And then I want to show you how I add this entry to the appropriate roll-up document, basically the brain of virtual Chris. So in this case, this entry will go into the BSM strategic intelligence. So the skill knows that it has to separate information and let me know in which roll-up document I need to add the appropriate entry. Let's see if it already processed the information. It's still going. So as you can see, the skill is now really doing a good job on processing the raw transcript and actually put it in a format that will allow Virtual Chris to easily access the information, voice calibration, quotes, retrieval tags, history, cross rollup, reference. Here's the next rollup for the Maya Ralph rollup. So I'm simply going to copy the first entry, and then this will go into the BSM Strategic Intelligence rollup document, which is right here. So I'm going to open this Google Doc, and then this is where the information goes. All right, paste new information below. So right here. So now I added the entry to the appropriate rollup document. I usually hit refresh. And that is it. Now the applicable information from that conversation has been added to the appropriate rollup document. So I'm going to make it as easy as possible for Virtual Chris to access the right information as easily as possible so that I'm not using too many tokens. All right. So Virtual Chris is still going. So now it's creating also the other entries for the other rollup documents where I need to add information. So that was the processor skill. And guess what? I do have an example for you that you can simply copy and paste into your Claude. I'll walk through that in a second. All right. So we did that. We ran the first transcript. Now, these rollup documents, they will balloon in size very fast. If you're like me, you're doing calls all day long, you create net new content on a regular basis, it will balloon very, very fast into a very lengthy document. So I just consolidated this rollup, the AI task force, probably a week ago. So it's very short at this point, only 49 pages. But let's take a look at the strategic intelligence. So this rollup document is now 90 pages long, as you can see over here. It will take your virtual you time and tokens to go through all the information. So what I created as part of maintaining Virtual Chris, I created a consolidation skill where I simply add the link to the Google Doc. Obviously, I have connected my Google account with Claude so that it has access to not only my email, my calendar, but obviously also to my Google Drive. So you can simply add the link of your rollup document and then evoke the consolidator skill. If I were to hit enter here, it would now go through the entire rollup document, and I instructed it to reduce the size dramatically, but obviously keep all of the relevant information, kick out old information. So the better you create your skill and the better the instructions, the better will be the consolidation of your rollup document. My recommendation is consolidate these rollup documents once a month. And then simply what you would do, you could copy the information. It'll show up on the right side here, and then overwrite the information in your current rollup document, paste the summary of the new consolidated rollup document into your Google Doc. That will do the magic. So that being said, I have created templates for you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. I created a rollup document template. Simply click on this link here. Obviously, you got to go in and customize it based on how you're going to use this tool, but this is a good start. And then I created for you the processor skill and also the consolidator skill. This will get you dangerous enough to get started with creating your virtual you. I understand this is a lot of information. Some of you may not be able to do this. Some of you may be able to do this. I highly recommend, if you want to save time on a daily basis, if you're in a position like me, where you run a business, where time truly is the most valuable thing that you have, set up your virtual you. Again, it saves me about 3 to 5 hours. I hope you learned something new and that this was interesting. As always, my name is Chris Raulf. I'm the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing and over at Chris Raulf AI SEO. Stay safe and healthy, and I will catch you in the next tip. Thanks so much for your interest. Bye.